The last U.S. airline, Delta, has retired their Queen of the Sky, and it is only fair to review the life of the iconic jumbo jet. This is a constantly curious production. Air travel was booming in the 1960s, and the era of long-distance travel was being revolutionized by the Boeing 707 and Douglas DC-8. Under an agreement with Juan Trippe, president of Pan Am, arguably Boeing's most important customer at the time, wanted a plane that carried twice the amount of passengers as the Boeing 707, and they wanted it quickly. Boeing had a big problem when it was designing the 747. It had no facility large enough to build it. After choosing a site 30 minutes north of Seattle in Everett, Washington, and moving 4 million cubic yards of earth, it completed construction on a new facility in 16 months in 1967. All 50,000 employees that were credited for their effort were referred to as the Incredibles. At over 400 million cubic feet, the Everett plant remains the world's largest building by volume. It's so big that clouds actually formed inside until Boeing installed an air circulation system. The Boeing 747 was designed with its iconic hump to allow for a full-sized cargo door. This was because Boeing saw the aircraft as a freight mover after the advent of the SST. Many iterations took place, and Boeing finally settled on the double-decker design with an ultra-wide cabin configuration. While carrying unimaginable amounts of people, the new airliner was also extremely efficient. It had beaten Juan Trippe's goal of 6.6 cents per seat mile, a 300% increase over the Boeing 707. This was as the result of the high bypass turbofan technology that was developed by the failed military C-5A bid. A stalwart in its own right, the JT-9D was fitted to the 747-100. The Dash 200 quickly followed in 1971, featuring more powerful engines and a higher max takeoff weight. The Dash 300 was launched in 1980 to compete and overwhelm the advent of the DC-10 and L-1011. This iteration included a stretched upper deck, increased cruise speed, and increased seating capacity. However, the airplane did not perform as well as Boeing had hoped. Therefore, the Dash 400 had begun development in 1985 and has become the most sold version of the 747 family. This aircraft had a new glass cockpit, modern avionics, and only required 2 crew instead of 3, eliminating the flight engineer. The airplane also featured new engines, lighter construction materials, and a redesigned interior. The Dash 400 entered service in 1989 and is still in operation with foreign carriers today. Many design concepts were put forth by Boeing throughout the 90s and early 21st century, but all were rejected. Then, in 2005, Boeing announced the 747-8, which was a stretched 747 with improvements developed from the 787. While most orders are for the freighter version, the aircraft made its first delivery in 2011. Economics inevitably trump nostalgia. The reality is that the 4-engine jumbo is big, expensive, and very thirsty, especially when compared to twin jets like the Boeing 777 and the Airbus A350. The 777-300ER replaced the 747 at United, while the A350-900 took over for jumbo at Delta. Consumer tastes have also changed. During the 747's heyday, long-haul international flights operated almost exclusively between major hubs and frequently made several intermediate stops. These days, non-stop point-to-point flights are becoming increasingly popular with no stops and no need to fly to a major hub. Hence the popularity of smaller wide-body jets like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. The Boeing 747 has carried out many high-profile missions. The jumbo jet literally carried the space shuttle on its back while metaphorically upholding our national pride in the U.S. space program. NASA used the 747-100 to retrieve space shuttles to ferry them back to the Kennedy Space Center. 5 presidents, beginning with George W. Bush and continuing with President Donald Trump, have flown on the 747. The The only aircraft of its kind in the world, the 747 supertanker is a powerful firefighting tool. Flying at almost 600 miles per hour, it can drop 19,200 gallons of fire retardant, water, or gel after taking only 30 minutes to fully load. As the backlog of the 747 continues to lessen, even at a production rate of 6 per year, Boeing is contemplating ending the program. Nonetheless, we will see the 747 operated at least through the 2020s and possibly for some time longer. Thanks for watching. In the next video, I will be discussing the history of the jet engine. Make sure to subscribe to be notified of upcoming content.